But luckily on the second chance, I got the password. Your Excellency, Dame Cecilia Grenada, Governor General of Grenada, distinguished colleague, heads of government, heads of delegation, members of the diplomatic corps, members of the media, those viewing this evening's proceedings online throughout the region and beyond. Welcome to Grenada. Welcome to CARICOM. Welcome to Petit Martinique. And I will claim Union, Myro, and Canoan this evening. When I hear my voice, it tells me I have something. I'm not so sure if it's, whenever Carnival is coming, you get some kind of flu. But since we had burial, I seem to have developed some sort of allergies or something of the sort. So I'll take it, it's the post-burial allergies or flu. And it's not a joke because since burial, when you wake in the morning, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of these small little flies all over. They blanket the floor, the window. In fact, when you walk on the floor and you look underneath your feet, there's the evidence of this. I assume CAFA or some other regional institution at some point, University of the West Indies, UWI, will assist us in assessing, studying, and telling us what it is and whether it's good or bad for us. So I want to start by, as our school children said to CARICOM, thank you, CARICOM. Thank you, CARICOM, for all that you have done for Grenada, CARICOM, and Petit Martinique. When I journeyed to Suriname in 2022 for my first heads of conference meeting, I went back last night and looked at what I said. And you know what happens when you're young and you're fresh and you know come. And I said then we should ensure CARICOM is not an institution that talk and talk and talk some more. President Ali talked a lot this evening. Now, you notice he didn't open his folder. He had a speech. He didn't read it. He got some inspiration from UWI. I won't tell you which part of the speech inspired him, but I will call his delivery in defense of CARICOM. And there was no better closing play than the accession of Curacao to this prestigious institution called the Caribbean Community. So I know that CARICOM doesn't just talk and talk and talk some more. I know this because today, President Ali, his foreign minister, his chief of defense staff, journeyed with me this morning to CARICOM and Petit Martinique to greet the Guyanese Defense Force soldiers who are right now repairing the police station in Hillsborough in CARICOM. Who are right now repairing the Hillsborough Secondary School in CARICOM. Who are right now repairing the post office, the district revenue office, and the administrative building in Hillsborough in CARICOM. Prime Minister Rowley, within 24 hours of Hurricane Beryl, stopped the 2 Osprey boats that are owned by a Pity Martinican family that had moved to Trinidad for safekeeping to ride out the storm with goods and supplies to send to Grenada. The RSS contingent of soldiers from Antigua and Barbados, notwithstanding that Barbados itself was hit by Hurricane Beryl, were in CARICOM and Pity Martinique, providing security support for policemen in CARICOM and Pity Martinique. Dominica, which itself was decimated by Hurricane Maria not so long ago, sent Grenada $1 million EC. The British Virgin Islands, $250,000 US. The Cayman Islands, the Premier and an entire delegation flew to Grenada in person to demonstrate their solidarity to Grenada and to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They delivered $250,000 US each to us. So who is coming to save us? Who is coming to save us? So you see, I know that CARICOM doesn't just talk and talk and talk some more. So I want to say, I will continue the in defense of CARICOM speech this evening. And Prime Minister Skirt, who's an outgoing member of the Bureau, always says this. The only people who defend the Caribbean are the politicians. Where is our academia? Where is UE? Where is civic society? Where is the once mighty labor movement that shaped the politics and defined historic eras? Where is the modern day Uriah Buzz Butler? A union man walking in the back. You should come forward, my friend, come forward. I say this because CARICOM doesn't belong to the heads of government. It's the Caribbean community. And we are not going to shape a vision for the next 50 years simply because the heads of government meet. The vision of the Caribbean community is a vision that has to be shaped by the people of the Caribbean. In reflecting on CARICOM's 51 years in existence, I read the speech of Errol Barrow when the Treaty of Chagamras was signed. And in that speech, he made reference to Sir Eric, and I'm calling him Sir Eric, Dr. Eric Williams, whom he said never really wanted to be a politician. Who people had to beg. And his thank you is the thank you that the President of Guyana talked about. Relentless criticism, relentless naysayers, allegation of corruption, mismanagement, etc., etc. If that is the narrative that we choose to define CARICOM and ourselves, if that is how we view ourselves, always inadequate, always second best, then we are helping others to easily shape our narrative. But I know that it is CARICOM that prevented the region turning into a war zone like so many other regions currently are right now. I know that it's CARICOM that has responded the swiftest and in the most extensive manner to our plight here in Grenada, CARICOM, and PT Martinique from the ravages of Hurricane Beryl. I know that it is CARICOM that is going to take the fight for reparatory justice throughout the length and breadth of the world. I know that it is CARICOM that fights for small island developing states, not just in this region, but small island developing states worldwide. I know it is CARICOM athletes that will shine in Paris. So why with these obvious examples? Why with our RSS? Why with our CCJ? Why with our Caribbean single market and economy? I'll talk a little bit there. I want us to appreciate something. CARICOM is the longest surviving, and survival is not an appropriate adjective. It is the longest thriving integration movement in the developing world. We are talking South and Latin America. We are talking Africa. We are talking Asia. There is no other like CARICOM. And so when we talk about persons wanting to become associate members, we are not just talking about from within the region. There have been inquiries from countries far and wide as to whether there is the opportunity to have a relationship with CARICOM. And why is that? It is because the external world knows and recognizes the value of CARICOM. You can ask them in the UN, when the big boys and girls want your vote, they find a way to come and walk around the chair where Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Guyana, or Trinidad sits. So we must recognize our value. We must shape our narrative that says, we have the same right as everyone else on this globe. And I want us to appreciate that we have been tested time and time again, and yet we rise. Comrade Gonzalez, in reflecting today, said under his stewardship, he's dealt with at least 10 natural disasters, plus suffering. Two weeks before this hurricane hit Grenada, we were in a state of drought. We had water regulations in place that prevented you from washing your car, filling up a swimming pool. Farmers couldn't get water. 2 weeks later, as soon as the rain started to fall, you get hit with a Category 4 hurricane. So I want us to appreciate that the resilience we have is not something that we should take for granted. It is something that we are in together. You know, I said this at the United Nations in 2022. And I just want to repeat part of it because it reinforces the UE. Mr. President, I was then addressing the president of UNGA. And I said, confronting the climate crisis will require a complete transformation of our mindsets and behaviors also. And importantly, the transformation of our energy sources, economic models, and land stewardship. This is a unique opportunity to come together, welcome innovative ideas, and tackle the problems we have struggled with for generations. I said the plea is not without urgency. I said as a leader of a small island developing state, SIDS, I'm all too familiar with the devastating effects of climate change and the stark reality that we may not have a country to pass on for future generations. This is not a joke. This is not nice sounding words. When a mother meets you in CARICOM and asks, why me? When everything that they've worked for is gone. The Ghana Defense Force briefed the president. When you pass people, they are dazed 1 month later. They are still in shock. They are still traumatized. You think after you spent all your life working hard, doing all of the things you've been told to do, and in 45 minutes, right in front of your eyes, it's gone. And it's not just you, it's everyone else. But this isn't just CARICOM and P.T. Martin. With each hurricane season that now brings the more powerful storms, I said that in 2022. Well, anti-Beryl break all records. All records. So we are not imagining or exaggerating or engaging in hyperbole. If ever we understating the urgent reality of what we are facing. I said in 2004 it was Grenada's turn with Hurricane Ivan. In a matter of a mere 8 hours, we lost 34 souls, and the Category 3 storm destroyed over 80% of our housing stock and decimated our economic and fiscal bases, with damages surpassing 200% of our gross domestic product. 10 months later, we got hit with another storm, Hurricane Emily. I said we watched in horror as our brothers and sisters across the Caribbean experienced their turn. Hurricane Irma in 2017 left the island of Barbuda nearly uninhabitable. So when I say we may not have an island or a country to pass on, it's not coming from bombs that we are dropping on another island. It's coming from the climate bombs that others have caused to be dropped on us. Then it was the British Virgin Islands. It lost approximately 85% of its housing stock. 2 weeks later, Hurricane Maria destroyed Dominica. It left 31 people dead, 37 missing, 930 million in damages. Did anyone come to Dominica's rescue? It has become one of the most heavily indebted countries in the world. Because in order to rebuild, it has had to borrow, and borrow from the very people whose actions have led to the ferocity, the increased strength, and the alarming increase in frequency in these hurricanes. And there are people that will always want to fact check us. So let's fact check. I think my mother was born in 1955. That's the year of Hurricane Janet. We did not experience any major hurricane thereafter until 2004. But then in 2005, we got hit. And we're in 2024, and we get hit again. So if you do the math, You went from 1 in every 50 years, odds we could live with, survive with, to 2 every 20 years. So every 10 years, we expect to be hit by a category 3, 4, 5, and it may go off the scale, 6, 7, 8 hurricane. So that is what existential means. It's a big word that everybody uses now. If someone chooses to drop bombs and shell your country, it's existential, but it's easy to stop. The human beings just need to stop. We just have to decide we will end the war, we will sit, we will negotiate, we will call a truce. Explain to the citizens of CARICOM and PT Martinique how we are going to stop these category 4 and 5 hurricanes from hitting them. That is why it is existential. That is why CARICOM must, shall, and will continue to advocate for climate justice. So, my colleague, member of the Bureau, President Ali, talked about some of the technical work that we will engage in over the next 2 days. I want to re-emphasize again that a lot of this work is not of our own doing. The guns that pose a clear and present public health danger are not manufactured in the Caribbean. So yes, national security, crime and criminality, the gun violence is something that we must and will treat with because it poses a clear and present danger to public health and public welfare in the region. I need not speak about Haiti because President Ali has clearly outlined the countless hours and the resources CARICOM has put in supporting our brothers and sisters and the people of Haiti. And I welcome the presence of the President of the Transitional National Council with us today. The Caribbean single market and economy and the movement of people remains a priority. And Prime Minister Motley, who leads this issue, will be with us tomorrow morning. And we intend and expect to make progress on this issue. And I know some of us in the region may be a little cynical on this issue. But as I called out the labor and the business and the civic society, you too can play your part in helping us to find the solutions that leads to more rapid advancement on those issues. Because oftentimes, the timidity may come from the fear of political reactions from the citizens at home. So we have to educate our population and unshackle them from the idea that the free movement of our citizens within CARICOM will do anything other than enhance the growth, the strength, and the solidarity within the Caribbean community. And I said this, when we have disasters, there are no borders. I don't recall any extensive paperwork for the Guyanese Defense Force to be in CARICOM and PT Martinique. I don't recall any extensive paperwork for CDEMA to be in Grenada, to be working, to be providing support to our National Disaster Management Agency. Ms. Riley, thank you. In fact, I don't recall any major extensive paperwork for all of the international donor agencies which are in Grenada, CARICOM, and PT Martinique doing work right now. So why are we clinging on to fears? We all know each other. We all know the chicken curry or the curry chicken. So we will continue to advance work on this issue. As chairman, I will champion an ambitious digital transformation agenda as CARICOM's lead on ICT. We have an opportunity in the Caribbean to ensure that for once, we do not get left behind in this technological revolution. And so I will outline tomorrow a proposed strategy for addressing a number of issues across the digital transformation landscape, ranging from cybersecurity to digital health to a digital skills fund, amongst others. We owe it to the next generation of Caribbean citizens to give them the tools and the education to make sure that they can stay in the Caribbean and apply their skills anywhere in the world, because there is no better place to live than the Caribbean. So I want to conclude by thanking the two members of the Bureau that I worked with prior to my becoming the chairman. The Honorable Roosevelt Skirt, Prime Minister of Dominica. His Excellency President Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Their guidance, their stewardship, their steadfast defense of CARICOM, and more importantly, the significant achievements accomplished under their respective tenure, leaves me in good stead to continue with the work that they have started. I look forward to welcoming Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who will take up the chair after I conclude my stint and who therefore becomes a member of the Bureau, to continue to work closely with her and President Ali as we continue to champion all of the issues that he has highlighted, the issues that I have raised. And I want to assure the citizens of the Caribbean community that the glasses are full, and it is our responsibility to get it to 3/4 full so that the next generation of Caribbean citizens could take it to 80% and 85%. We know it will never be full. So welcome to Grenada. Thank you for coming. We took the decision to host this meeting notwithstanding the impacts of Hurricane Beryl, because it is important to send the message to the world that Jamaica is open for business. Jamaica is open for business. Barbados is open for business. St. Vincent and the Grenadines are open for business. Grenada is open for business. Open for business. And as we said, we shall rise. Thank you very much.
Indeed, you did rise. Good opportunity to stretch. The Caribbean
throughout all of this, he delivered that speech there with the, the 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 leadership that we all have seen last two years and months. It seems as though my audio is a bit down, so I'm checking that here. All right, so there seem to be some problems with the audio from my end. All right, nice. So I want to welcome you again to the Dynamic Hour, and I want to encourage us to remain focused. Remain focused. All right. It seems as though the opposition forces, they have been hell bent on spreading a lot of misinformation, spreading a lot of lies, and they do so even if you provide facts, even if you provide evidence to prove that they are misleading the general public. In fact, a case in point is the Honorable Jonathan Lacrette's publication, because they have been on their programs for quite a number of months, spreading lies about the goodly gentleman and minister. All right, they have been spreading lies about him consistently, so regarding his his business, his personal business with a financial institution, and he then requests from the Grenada Development Bank to clear his name because he had no prior relationship with that bank, with the Grenada Development Bank. All right. So he put it out there clear and square that he had no prior relationship. He never did any business with the bank. So the bank gave him that letter saying, "We have not had any dealings with you. We never dealt with you in the past. Nothing of that sort." So what we saw was the publication going out there, making the rounds on the internet where his name was cleared. But that did not satisfy the NNP folks. All right, that did not satisfy them. So they continue to spread lies and more lies on his name. All right, they have not stopped. So they move from him having a relationship with the bank or getting a loan in the bank to saying, "Did you apply for a loan in the bank?" All right. It's amazing. And these are citizens of Grenada they are referring to, our brothers and sisters who just want to do legitimate business. In other words, they have a right to apply for a loan in any bank in Grenada. They have a right to survive like anybody else. And they are not getting free money. They have to pay it back. But I am saying now that the Honorable Jonathan Lacrette put out this document in the public domain, right, from the Grenada Development Bank, where the Grenada Development Bank is saying, "I have no business with you. You never did any business with the Grenada Development Bank." And that's coming from the manager, the general manager of the bank. All right. So the NNP surrogates and pundits on their platforms now, they are saying, "Okay, well, if you didn't get a loan or you didn't have any relationship with the bank, you didn't get the loan or whatever, okay, all right." But they move to now, "Did you apply for a loan in that bank?" All right. The level of misinformation, lies that's coming from the NNP goons and surrogates, it is sickening. People are becoming upset with them. Even some of their supporters, even some of their supporters are saying, "But why are you like this? Right? Why are you into the personal business of these ministers of government, right? They have not committed a crime. They have not stolen anything, right? They have not stolen anything. They have not been involved in any corruption, nothing of that sort. They have not done anything illegal, right? But still, they're out there, those opposition uh, pundits or surrogates, making all of these statements and lies. And what they're doing is to ask a question: is it true? Is it true this? Is it true that? That is what they are doing. But they know that what they are doing is really spreading more lies on some of the government ministers, right? And it's not substance. The NNP surrogates cannot deal with substance. They cannot have a conversation on anything. All they're doing is spreading lies, because I understand they have concluded that the Grenadian people trust the NDC more than they trust the NNP. Because what the NDC did when they came into office is to build that trust with the Grenadian people by fulfilling some of the major promises they made during the election. So that trust factor, that is what the NNP is dealing with. So the surrogates and pundits of the NNP, they have been given an order to go on their programs and spread all kind of lies on some of the government ministers and so on. So what they're doing, they cutting and pasting. So they cut a little piece of something that one minister said, and they cut a little piece of what another minister said, and they cut a little piece of what our beloved prime minister said, and that is what they're doing, because they want you to believe that they're lying. They want you to believe that you can't trust them, that kind of thing. But they are not getting their way. So that is what they have been doing for the last how many months, and almost 2 years. But here it is. They are still not able to get people to believe this whole plot, this whole plan that they have. They have not been very successful, right? Because, look, the majority of Grenadians experience the NNP for 20-something years. They experience the NNP. So to come now and try to make people believe differently about the NNP, it would take you about 20-something years to achieve that. Because we have experienced the NNP in person. Nobody has to come and tell us what the NNP did to this country, right? And we are able to compare and contrast. We are able to look at the NDC performance over the last 2 years, and we are able to look at the NNP performance or lack thereof for 23 years and a half, right? And Grenadians are happier with the current leadership of the country. Grenadians are happier. You go through the rural parts of Grenada and you speak to people, and you get that sense that, our people are happy with what is happening in the country. Yes, we know that St. Patrick, St. Mark, CARICOM, and Petit Martinique were affected by Hurricane Beryl, a Category 4 hurricane. And we know that our beloved Prime Minister and other members of government or cabinet, other members of the cabinet, they have been working hard from the next morning of Beryl. I mean, yes, we know our Prime Minister, he was out there, before and during the hurricane, updating us, guiding us, and so on. But after the hurricane, we saw a plan activated. by our beloved Prime Minister and the team, and they continue doing an excellent job. But here you have the NNP and their surrogates trying to mislead, in my belief, mislead the general public. And as though they want to derail the relief, derail the recovery, derail all the effort by government. That is the sense I get, right? They have been at it, only negative, 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 a whole pile of negativity. And I am saying we have to move to the next level. This hurricane and the impact of the hurricane will be felt for more than 12 months, more than 2 years, a lot of years down the line. And there are a lot of people who lost their homes, lost their livelihood, their boats, lost their business. There are a lot of people who are traumatized still, and it will take a lot to get them back to a state of normalcy. And the opposition forces, they are not helping. They are not helping in this whole drive to get the people back to a state of normalcy. They have been very destructive, in my belief. Very, very destructive. So while the government is trying its best to get people back to that place, to help the folks of Carrico, Petit Martinique, St. Patrick, and St. Mark, the opposition, they are playing politics, and they believe by doing all of this, they're going to get somewhere, or they're going to get back into power. Because I understand they had a meeting and they made it very clear in that meeting that they have always been targeting St. Patrick, right? The two constituencies in St. Patrick and also Carrico. And you know, Carrico and Petit Martinique is one constituency. So they have always been targeting those constituencies because in their eyes, they believe if they can keep the 5 constituency that they have, so Clarice Modeste, Keith Mitchell's constituency, Emlyn Pear's constituency, Kate Lewis' constituency, and Peter David's constituency. If they can keep that 5, and they can get St. Patrick East and St. Patrick West and Carriacou, then they're going to form the government. So they see it as a pathway to getting back into power. So what they have been doing is trying their best to disrupt, in my belief, to derail the efforts by the government and many other organizations, right, in St. Patrick in particular, the 2 constituencies there, in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, because they believe if they can get these 3 constituencies and St. John, well, St. John was not heavily impacted by the hurricane, although they were impacted, but not heavily. So that is their strategy. So the government is performing well. They're doing a lot, but the NNP surrogates and pundits, they have been given an order to disrupt the recovery, to spread a lot of lies, a lot of misinformation about everything with post-burial efforts and all the work that the government is doing. So we have to understand the politics that's at play here. What they are trying to do is get the people in St. Patrick East and West, to get them really angry, right? To have them believe that the government is not doing X and Y fast enough. In fact, that is the statement they have been saying or repeating to these people, right? They're on the ground, and not that they're going to help these people. They are not going out there and help the people of St. Patrick East or St. Patrick West. They are not. Don't fool yourself. They are going out there on the ground to spread lies and misinformation. That is what they're on the ground doing. In CARICOM, same thing. The NNP surrogates and pundits and supporters and so on, all they're doing is trying to disrupt the recovery, the relief and the recovery and the rebuilding efforts by this government. That's all they're doing. They are not going to help clean or help build or help deliver something. They're not doing that. They're not interested in that because they believe they can use this disaster to get back into power. And we have to say it as is. We have to make it clear. The opposition forces in this country, they believe they can use this disaster to get back in power. That is what they believe. And we need to be very careful because while the government is doing all of this good work, you have a certain segment of the country who just want to see the government fail. They just want to see bad things happen for this government and for Grenada. That's all they want. So folks, I am saying all of this because I have been monitoring keenly what the opposition forces have been doing since the passage of Hurricane Beryl. They are not doing anything significant for the people of CARICOM, PT Martinique, or St. Patrick or St. Mark. They are not doing it. They are not interested in that. All they want is to get back into power, and they will use this disaster to get back into power. That is how they see it. Instead of helping the people to bounce back, to build back, to recover, they are just playing politics. And I think we need to increase the ante on the opposition forces in the country and call them out. We need to start calling them out on the fact that they are using Beryl, the passage of this hurricane, this disaster, to make political mileage and to come back. In other words, they want to come back in power so much that they don't care how low they would go. They don't care. They don't care. So while the Honorable Tevin Andrews is working his tail out in CARICOM and PT Martinique, you have the opposition forces in CARICOM and PT Martinique trying their best to disrupt this whole relief, rebuilding, recovery. They're working overnight to do that. That's all they're doing. And folks, you have to understand their strategy. You don't have to be a political genius to understand their strategy. They are of the view that if they can keep the 5 seats that they already have, and they can gain 3 more, St. Patrick East, St. Patrick West, and CARICOM and PT Martinique. Okay, you know CARICOM and PT Martinique is 1. Then they go right back into power with 8 seats. That is that's the strategy that they have. And Hurricane Beryl impacted St. Patrick East and West, CARICOM and PT Martinique the most. A lot of people lost their roofs, they lost their homes, they lost their livelihood. So we have to understand their strategy and how do we fight against it to gain the upper hand right? We have to understand the politics that's at play here with these people. We have to understand that, right? So that is the order they have received. That is why they have not been very constructive. They have not been very helpful from day one. They have not. In fact, they are happy. They are happy to get the opportunity with the passage of a Category 4 hurricane to get the opportunity to be relevant, to go on the ground and disrupt things, to derail things. That is what they have been doing. That is exactly what they have been doing from day one. But I tell you this, when you have power, when you win a government, all right, it would be unthinkable, right, to allow others who want it so bad to just grab it like that or take it like that. We have to increase the ante on the opposition forces. They are allowed to say anything and do anything in this place. We have to change that. We cannot just allow these people to say anything they want and do anything they want in the state of Grenada when the country is fighting to help its people bounce back after the passage of a Category 4 hurricane. And let me say this, we are still in the hurricane season. We are still in the hurricane season. What the NNP, surrogates, and pundits want is for the government to go ahead and spend building temporary homes or doing temporary repairs. And knowing that we are still in the hurricane season, we can still be impacted by a hurricane. And then that money would just go in the wind. If we are, God forbid, but if we are impacted by a hurricane again, all the repairs, all the efforts, and what they want is for the government to just go ahead and build back the same way. Just build back how it was. There are a lot of people who use nails, for example, in the construction of their roofs. There are a lot of people who did not use the building code, the new building code, to construct their roof, right? Especially the concrete houses and so on. So they want the government to take the millions and just build temporary structures or do temporary repairs and everything just go in the wind. We are still in the hurricane season, so we have to be cautious of that. We have to be cautious of that. But I'm saying you don't need to be a political analyst or some genius to understand the strategy of the NNP, pundits and surrogates and all of them, the opposition forces in the country. They are of the view, if they can use this moment of crisis to spread lies and misinformation and cause the people in St. Patrick East and West and to cause the people in CARICOM and PT Martinique to dislike the government, right? With all the efforts, with all the rebuilding and all the help that the government is giving, that is what they are seeking to do. But they will not succeed. They will not succeed. I want to encourage the people who are coming for Carnival. You're coming for Carnival. Please take the opportunity to register to vote. And if you know family members and friends who turn 18, encourage them to get registered to vote. Right? So it's very, very important. You have to encourage your friends, your colleagues to get registered to vote. So use that opportunity when you come for Carnival. All right? Because I have often said on this program, we have 10 times or even more Grenadians living in the diaspora than who are actually here living in Grenada, CARICOM, and PT Martinique. So we have a good opportunity to get our people registered so that they can vote come the next general election. All right? That's important. Very important. And look, I told you, don't believe that everybody or all the MPs, some of them, they are ministers of government, don't believe that they would be the candidates come the next election. All right? So some may get the opportunity to run again and win again. And some who ran and won their seats, but there isn't a path for them again to run and win, right? To win, they will be replaced. So there will be some changes between now and the election, of course, right? So there will be people or MPs who ran and they are not viable again, they can't win again, they will be changed. So they would make changes, and because it's about winning the election, right? It's about winning the election. It's just like in the United States, for example, Joe Biden, all polls show that he would lose and he can't win. All right? So what the Democrats did is to replace him or have him not run again. And then you have Kamala Harris, and right now it's neck and neck, right? Neck and neck in terms of the polls. And because, America is so big, you have to do polls to kind of get to know where things stands, all right? So I'm saying that is what normally happens. Even in Grenada, polls will be done in constituencies, and if some MPs or some of the folks who ran in the last election, if they have to be changed, they will be changed, right? Because we have to win and win even bigger come the next election. But I am calling on those in authority to up the ante on the opposition forces in the country. They are getting too much of free room to do all and anything they want. They're getting too much of free room to do that, right? So we have to now strategize and make sure that these people are put under the kind of pressure that they must be put under. They are just, come on. They are just given free room to do anything and say anything when they want and how they want. I'm telling you. And then you look deeper at certain boards, for example, certain statutory bodies, where it's like leaking information, confidential information to the opposition. It's like the norm, where even some of the employees who are in there, they were loyal to the NNP, and the NNP lost, but they are still in those different positions, and you have them, some of those supporters within those different statutory bodies, leaking information to the opposition forces, and some of the information they're not even, correct, but they leak it anyway, and they give these people platforms to say what they want, when they want, and how they want. It has to change, because in 2008 to 2013, that is exactly what they were doing. That is exactly what they were doing. Just leaking information. And they're doing the same thing this time wrong again. They're doing the same thing this time wrong again. So there must be some control when it comes to those statutory bodies. You have people on boards, statutory bodies, who are leaking confidential information to the opposition forces so that they can go on their programs and run them out and say all manner of things about this statutory body and that statutory body and the government this and this line minister and that line minister and so on. That is what they have been doing. So there must be a wrap. They need to rein them in, call all the chairpersons of those boards in a meeting and the directors of some of those boards and straighten them up. Or else remove them, replace them, get rid of some of them. And there are some of those statutory bodies and government departments with key NNP supporters in key positions, in strategic, sensitive positions. We need to take control of this. We need to take full control of the situation. They're allowed to just be and say anything and do anything. You see, a democracy must be managed. There's a thing called managed democracy, right? It's not a dictatorship, but you have to manage the democracy, or else it will get out of hand. I am saying the opposition forces in the country, they are getting a free room to run and do all kinds of stuff, say all kinds of stuff. We have to control that. We have to control it. Because in a time of disaster, in a time where you're fighting to help your people to bounce back and so on, these people are out there just trying to disrupt and derail the recovery and the rebuilding effort and everything like that. Come on. There's some of these radio stations, for example, who are pushing their programs. They owe government. Some of those radio stations, they owe the government of Grenada a whole pile of taxes and so on. Some of them, they have lease agreements in Grenada and other places that they have not been paying from day one. Some of them, they owe government on taxes, personal income tax and so on. Their properties and so on, they owe government a whole pile of money. We need to look deeper into those things, right? We have to look deeper into those things. Some of those folks, they owe the government and they're still on programs, running them out and so on. So we have to start looking deeper at some of those folks, right? We have to seek to find out more. Because you can't be on a program running your mouth about government and you owe the government of Grenada a whole pile of money and other things like that. We have to rein these people in. We have to. And then we have to have the kind of surveillance, the kind of intel, the kind of people on the ground to gather intel, information on some of the folks who are leaking information to those folks. And those in certain positions within government and within statutory bodies, if they have to be changed, they must be changed. Come on. We have to start doing some more political work. To get this thing under wraps. Because the government is performing well, extremely well. But when it comes to the party, NDC, and the politics, it's a question mark. It's a question mark. So we have to do more. More has to be done. Can't have these people just come on and you just check it out. Check out some of those platforms that they are pushing these things on, all this misinformation and lies and so on. We have to do more, right? We have to do more. But folks, I want to thank you for being a part of the program this morning. I want to wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day. I'll be back with you tonight in the hub starting from 8 in the PM.